Name's Rain. It's been a minute since I've sat here in the truck on lunch break blabbering to the camera. The last time I did that, I think I was eating a pickled egg, and that's been months ago at this point. I was on a totally different job back then. I have not sat here on lunch and talked, and it feels sad because, I've for a while didn't have anything else to talk about. I feel like I said everything I came to say, and the vent playlist and the different construction topics that I touched on. That's something that I just the well ran dry with ideas of things to talk about. But as time has gone on, and as I have moved to a different job site, and I've moved to a different housing, there's been a couple of other things that I've, drummed up in the mind of things I might like to blabber about. And so that's what I'm going to do right here as I wait to go back to work here in about half an hour. I think I got a little bit of time where I could sit here and blabberate. I have moved to a different job. The last time I was here, I was at a warehouse job, and that ended. And so now I'm working in an office building job, and this is going really, really nice. The building looks great. Honestly, we're about done with it. We only got about, a month and a half, 2 months left, really. Not a whole lot left to do. It's been a very complex job, but it has been a fun one. Confounded. There's always, you'll have 5 or 6 jobs, and most of them are kind of average, and then you get to that one that's just like, I enjoy coming here. And this one, I gotta say, has just been a breath of fresh air, because you could, warehouse jobs, which is what I've been working mostly lately, lately as in the past couple of years, are fairly easy, but they can get boring in a hurry. Ask literally any superintendent. You enjoy working in a warehouse job, and they're probably going to tell you that it's easy, but it's boring, because there's just not a whole lot of complexity to it. Unless you're a welder. If you're, a steel erector, then yeah, it's probably just the same as every other job. But I've been enjoying this job site. And I've also been enjoying the new house that I've moved into. I have moved from the apartment that I was renting, and now I am in a single-wide trailer, as a typical construction worker does whenever they first starting out. And I'm right about 200 feet in front of my parents' house. And I am so very happy to be back next to my parents. I'll be honest with you, and this is something that I don't expect you to tell anybody. But I've mentioned it before, that I absolutely I hate being by myself. I do not like being alone. I do not like having nobody around. If I'm sitting in my house with absolute silence, I start feeling all creeped out and jive, like I'm sitting in a confounded brightly lit coffin. I don't like that feeling of being completely by myself. I need to have either Discord turned on, where I'm, in a voice channel with friends, or listening to YouTube or something like that if I'm completely by myself. But now I'm living right next to my parents, finally, and if I start feeling upset with my situation, all I got to do is pop out there on the porch. Mama might be out there, messing with the begonias. Dad might be over there, cutting the grass around the pool. There's always somebody there now. So I'm happy as I can be with that. The only reason I even moved to start with was because of where I kept getting job sites. I kept getting job sites sent to jobs in a specific town right there in the Savannah area. And it was a good 45 minute to an hour drive one way every day to get to this place. And I thought, well, screw it. Why not just move to that town? A temporary work address kind of an idea where I'm going to turn the air conditioner up because I'm starting to burst into flames. Just go over here to this town, rent myself a little apartment down there, and then it'll be a 5-minute drive to work every day. And it worked out great for 8 months. And then the job site that I was out on imminently at that time ended. We finished it. And then for the rest of the time, I was getting sent to jobs in South Carolina, which was about an hour and a half one way from where I had just moved in, trying to cut down on my confounded fuel cost and driving time and wear and tear. And it's not like, we just didn't have any work in that town anymore. We'd completed everything that we could do. And, well, now the only work that we got is over there. And so that's where we had to go. And my brilliant, sinister plan backfired on me. So I I should have known better. I should have known that construction is a very all over the place kind of an industry. You go where the job sites are. If there's a building that needs to get built, you go to where the building's getting built so that you can build it. I'll say built again here in a minute. But I was just in my naivety, I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and move over where those job sites keep popping up. Yep. And so, I've worked up enough money to be able to buy a place right there next to my parents. So I'm very happy about that. I've wanted to move back next to them. I always kind of wanted to live in the general vicinity of them because it's been very convenient for them to live so close to both of their sets of parents. My mother's parents live about a little less than a mile away from their house, and then my father's parents lived about 10 minutes away. So it was very convenient for them as their parents were getting older and starting to need help more often for them to just hop in the van and scuttle on over there and take care of them. And that proved to be very, very, very helpful, as both of my grandfathers have since passed away. And in both situations, towards the end of their lives, they both needed a lot of help very frequently. And I wanted to also live next to my parents so that over the next 20, 30 years, as they are getting older and need help more, I could be right there within putting distance of them. So I kind of got everything I wanted out of my current situation. I'm very happy with it. I'm living in a single wide trailer, yes, and I know I've made a meme about that. And confounded construction workers always living in the dumpy single wide trailer in the ghettoest part of town. Even whenever they got, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, they still go with the dump option. And I'm one guy, okay? In my defense, I am one person. I am not married. I have no children. I don't get to play the husband, father role that I honestly would have preferred my life to have taken that turn. But I'm just one guy, so I don't have to have a big-ass house, I don't have to have the double-wide trailer. I don't have to have the house on the foundation. It's fine, I don't have to take up that much space. I'm a simple individual with simple tastes. I just need a couch with a TV in front of it for me to never watch because I'm always at the other end of the house in the bedroom on my computer. That's my situation. So, yeah, I got myself a single-wide trailer. And I'm happy with it. So that's what's happened since the pickled egg video. A lot has happened. Like I say, my mother's father passed since my last job site, and I started, whenever we were going through all of his personal effects, that took a couple weeks, but I started going through my stuff not too long after that because I found so many things in his house that I had memories tied to. And it's amazing how memories form. I call them bookmark memories, where just looking at something, you can remember exactly where you were, how you felt at the time, what you were wearing, what other people were wearing, who all was there. There's these little bookmark memories that form without you even realizing how big of a deal it is to you at the time. That the slightest association, the slightest little detail that in any way reminds you of it, it comes flooding back, where you can place yourself in that position so vividly. He has a push mower out next to his house that is this little self-propelled Briggs & Stratton push mower. And I remember way back, 15, 20 years ago, whenever he was taking care of his mama, as she was in declining health. And he was taking care of her yard. And she lived probably an hour away from us. So every weekend, he would load up that self-propelled push mower in the trunk of his big old confounded boxy Lincoln car with the trunk so big you could about fit this truck into his trunk. He loved them big boxy cars. And he would load the self-propelled push mower up in the trunk of that car, and he'd call me because we're going down there to great grandma's house and going to push mow her yard, going to get her grass looking good because she can't do it herself. And I'd hop in the passenger seat and off we'd go. And we'd go down there, man, we'd have such a big time every weekend. He told me the first time he ever proposed the idea to me of how he wanted me to come with him on the weekends because I'm, 9, 10 years old. I don't have a job. Yeah, I don't have anything to do with my time besides schoolwork. So, on the weekends, come on down. We'll cut her grass. We'll make her yard look pretty. I'll pay you a big salary, he said. And his idea of a salary for a 10-year-old boy was as soon as we got done, go off to Parker's or In Market or one of these gas stations in this area and get, a big old 44-ounce fountain drink and beef jerky and all that kind of stuff. Man, that made me so happy. Every weekend we'd go over there for a while and we'd push mow the yard. And we'd get done, load the lawnmower back up in that trunk with the handle sticking up out of the trunk because we couldn't fold it all the way up in there and shut the lid. We had to have the trunk sticking out partially. And off we'd go, and we'd go to the gas station, and he'd get his little bottle of Coca-Cola and a 99-cent bag of peanuts that he would then dump into the bottle of Coke. And I still do that. Like, I picked that up from him, and I still do that. Dumping peanuts into Coke. If you haven't tried that combination, you don't even know good cooking. And it's actually legitimately cooking now. It's not just mixing things together. I'll argue that with anybody. Putting peanuts in Coke is cooking. But, we'd get done there, and we'd drive back to the house on this little 2-lane highway out in the middle of all these cornfields. And it would always be a clear day, never be a cloud in the sky. And I remember one day in particular, we had just gotten back from cutting her grass, and we're riding down this 2-lane highway, and we passed by this field that's full of cows. Oh my goodness, bumper to bumper cows, left and right, front and center. And my granddaddy looks over there and he points at it and he said, "Look at all them cows. That's a bunch of fatty cows." And I peep up over the window and I say, "Yeah, that's a lot of fatty cows." And he said, "That's going to make a lot of fatty bacon." And I said, "You're right, that is going to make a lot of fatty bacon." Looking at the cows. And I sat there and I thought, wait a minute, bacon doesn't come from cows, Granddad. He about ran off the freaking road laughing about that. That was the funniest blasted thing to him. He had tears coming out of his eye, all down his face, just running over the fog line. Fatty bacon doesn't come from cows. I had never seen him laugh that hard about them fatty bacon. And every time we ever saw a cow, he would talk about fatty bacon. For the rest of that man's life, cows were funny to him because of fatty bacon. And all that because of a push mower. I got a lot of bookmark memories. I got a lot of experiences that I never really ascribed any value to until very recently, very lately, whenever I really started thinking about it, because with two now past grandfathers, I've come to realize just how many regrets I have. How much time I spent with the two of them, sitting out on the porch, on the patio, whatever, listening to them talk, telling stories, talking about all sorts of experiences they had, and not paying one goddamn bit of attention to it. All the knowledge that they had that is just gone. I can't call them up now and say, that time you were telling me about this one thing that you did, You know, whenever you explain to me how to fix this thing that I'm having a problem with now, I can't do that now. Every time anyone dies, everything that they knew is gone, inaccessible. You can't just call them up. You can't get those times that you didn't give a shit back. All of those times that I wasted, it's been on my mind a lot since the next one passed. And I don't want to keep wasting knowledge and wasting information. That's another reason I'm so happy to be next to my family again, living next to my mom and daddy, because, you know, I don't even know how to pronounce the name of the channel, Kurzgesagt. It's this like YouTube channel with like a bunch of animated videos where they talk about, you know, black holes and extinction events, volcanoes, all this sort of thing, and they talk about, you know, basically existential crisis material is all it is. But in one particular video, they said, you know, whenever you're a kid, 99% of the time that you spent, 99% of the time that you were awake, you were right there with your parents. And then at the moment that you move out and you are no longer living with your mother and father, you have already spent 99% of the time that you will ever spend with them. And the rest of your life until they both are dead, you've only got that 1% of your allotted time left to spend with them. I don't think I explained it as well as they did, but like, the point being that, you know, time is the enemy of a person who values their family. And it's an even bigger enemy of a person who doesn't yet value their family, but one day will. If you don't take advantage of the time that you have to be able to sit on a patio sipping on chocolate milk out of a glass that you put tinfoil over so the flies don't get in it, swapping stories with the fella sitting on the bench next to you, if you don't value that time, you regret it so much. And I'm happy to have those memories of, you know, going and push mowing the grass, and hell, repairing electric motors with my grandfather on my father's side, and playing baseball in the summertime, and spending a lot of time with them. I spent a lot more time with them than I can remember spending with them. And it's little instances like looking at that old push mower sitting in that fella's yard that bring these memories back, and I realize just how much I haven't forgotten. So that's why I started going through my own possessions, my closets and my filing cabinets and all the bags and shelves and drawers and all that I've got. Just scrambling to remember more, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it, because God knows my memory's bad as heck. But, you know, Lord knows what I can remember if I could put my eyes on something. Or put my nose on something. That's something I noticed. You know, whenever I've watched it, my favorite movie for a long time was The Bourne Identity, starring Matt Damon. And whenever I got done watching a movie that morning that I watched it, I got up, went into the bathroom, used the bathroom, and then washed my hands with Dial brand vitamin E with aloe hand soap, and that smell of that soap always reminds me of that movie now. I cannot smell Dial brand vitamin E with aloe extract hand soap without thinking, Jason Bourne. The Bourne Identity. That's always what, man, that just always takes me back for some strange reason. You know, you can ascribe a memory to anything. And that's something that I would like to talk about. You know, the next time that I sit here and blab on lunch break. But I'm about to have to go and get back to work. So I'm going to stop talking because I got to go be an adult real quick. Talk to you later.